It's election day in the USA, and former Vice President Dick Cheney has died. I'm sending thoughts and prayers to his family, but I will remember, and I want to remind you I'm an atheist, I will remember Dick Cheney for the two following things: lying in the lead up to the Iraq War so that he could enrich the military industrial complex. And also, I will remember the campaign in 2004 when the Republican Party, via Karl Rove, put gay marriage on the ballot to feed the culture wars that we are fighting so much right now. And he has a gay daughter. And as a parent, I will never, ever understand how people can say they love their children and then go out and support so much hatred and bigotry towards their gay children. It's just unbelievable. All right, moving along. Speaking of bigotry and hatefulness, let's listen to nut job MAGA Congressman Representative Randy Fine, who is having a stage 5 meltdown about Zohran Mamdani.
For Zohran Mamdani to be deported. The only thing I want to see him running for is his gate at JFK on the deportation flight to Uganda.
What a racist dick. And he is no difference than Nick Fuentes. There is no difference in this style of bigotry. They just cherry pick human rights, and they cherry pick only the human rights that affect them, and they will not go to bat for anybody else. And this is the inherent cancer in the Republican Party. Pumps.
Well, here's the thing. The Islamophobia, they breed it in the Republican Party. You see, Laura Loomer has President Trump's ear, and she's constantly, the most hateful lies about Islamic people. And here's the deal. All of this shit from all these Republicans that have nothing to do with New York City, you know what that tells me? They're scared. They know how good he is. They know that working people like him. They know that triple Trumpers are going to go vote for him today, and they don't know what else to do about it because they're so limited in critical thinking skills. They have to go straight to racism.
Well, it also thwarts their efforts to use racism, because the narrative in the United States for a very long time, and it's been rather effective, is that Muslim people have a bunch of wives and blow shit up. Okay. Right. So then if you have this progressive candidate that is Muslim, that walks in the pride parade with a trans flag, that stands up to the oligarchy and stands for universal human rights with no ambiguity in it, where it's, I stand up for Jewish people and I stand up against anti-Semitism. I stand up for Muslim people and I stand up against Islamophobia. I stand with the Black and brown community. I stand with the trans community. I stand with women. All of these things are linked. And so it's a real optics problem for them to have a progressive mayor, because then their Islamophobia is going to start falling flat, and it's not going to be as successful for AIPAC to grift off of the American taxpayer to send bombs to Israel. So this is a 911 house is on fire for them, because they have to keep Americans thinking that all Muslims are a monolith, which Zohran Mamdani proves is absolutely 100% false, and that he's a bigger Christian than any Christian I've ever met, and he's Muslim. All right, moving along. Kanks participates in what is straight up election interference. He goes on Live Social and puts up this rambling, I'm not even going to read it to you. But in summary, Pumps, he basically says that if Zohran wins, he is not going to send money to New York. This is straight up election interference. That's what it is. Any other candidate, any other president would be called out. Corporate news would be stage 5 meltdown. But for some reason, this white guy is always allowed to do this kind of shit to Black and brown and marginalized people. And everybody gives him a pass and spikes the story.
Well, I think that part of it is that a lot of the people, I mean, obviously, a majority of the Republicans, they feel the same way. They are just as racist and homophobic and misogynistic as he is. But the corporate media, he's got all his buddies in place. He's now going to turn CBS News into a state-run media Fox-style enterprise. So there are certain news channels, it surprises me that they're not blasting him. But he's got social media cronies. He's got CBS News now. He's got Fox. And Fox viewers, agree with him. They like it. They think he's a tough guy. It's so disgusting. But I think in New York, they're smarter. And Donald Trump coming out against Zohran Mamdani makes them more apt to vote for him. That's just my opinion.
And he has endorsed Andrew Cuomo in the most bizarre way. He has said, I would rather vote for a bad Democrat and endorse a bad Democrat. That's what he calls Andrew Cuomo, than a communist. And everybody knows that doesn't watch Fox News, that Zohran Mamdani is not a communist. And that basically democratic socialism is highly regulated capitalism. And I wish the branding of that would be a little different, because there's been a decades long effort to people that don't know what socialism is, for them just to think it's, oh, that's demonic, that's crazy. Right. But nonetheless, Cuomo calls into this radio show and they're talking to him, and they ask him, the interviewers, they tell him that Trump called him a bad Democrat and said that he would endorse him. And Andrew Cuomo hangs up. Watch this clip.
Boy was just on 60 Minutes, Cuomo, saying that you're his guy.
No. First of all,
Trump said you're his candidate. If he had to pick a bad Democrat or what did he say? Or a
communist.
Or a communist, he's picking you.
Hello?
I think that they cut him off. I think he had to rap.
You just get, I really wanted to hear that answer. That's what I was going to ask you.
Ebro just got spicy.
Okay. This is what I'm just so sick of with the Democratic Party. We need party unity. And the fact that a lot of Democrats endorsed or silently and passively endorsed Andrew Cuomo, we have to be the party that says, look, New Yorkers went and voted. This guy won by double digits in the Democratic primary. He beat Andrew Cuomo by 13 points. Andrew Cuomo has a very Trumpian past. He's been endorsed by Trump, Musk, and all the other flea bags in the MAGA movement. And we want as much daylight between us and them as possible. And we hear you, voters. We hear you that you are sick of the system being rigged for billionaires. And these billionaires that are engaged in these histrionic meltdowns right now are going to be just fine. And if you want to pack your toys up and move to Florida and live in Kitten Hills, depraved state, swing for the fences, big guys. Do it. Leave. It's just pathetic that there isn't unity in the Democratic Party behind him. And I find no joy in calling out the Jeffries, the Schumers, or the Cory Bookers. It's not fun. I want to be able to say, yes, this is my political party. Everybody's united against these fucking fascists. And no, we're not going to have an Andrew Cuomo. He lost. You need to gracefully congratulate your opponent and then pull out of the race altogether. And then as a Democrat, you're supposed to endorse your primary opponent. And again, there is this Trumpian overlap with Kanks and MAGA in the Democratic establishment. This is the kind of stuff that would happen in MAGA. And MAGA excuses it. And as a Democrat, I am not going to excuse the politicians that have not robustly endorsed Zohran Mamdani. You can very easily say, look, he's further left than I am, but I hear the people and I believe in democracy and I endorse him. And Andrew Cuomo lost and he needs to pack his toys up and he's threatening to move to Florida, which tells you how important New York is to him, right? And move on down the road.
Well, I look at it and I think Is the Democratic establishment so threatened by the message that Zoran has carried to the people and that they have embraced, his constituents have embraced? Are they so scared about it because they're unable to deliver it, because they have to be backed by all the corporate donors? And if they're not going to listen to the people, the Democrats are a lot smarter, they're more informed, they're critical thinkers. They're going to leave that establishment. And I'm just going to say again, the establishment lost us in 2024, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So they need to sit down and shut the fuck up.
And I also think a lot of this pumps has to do with AIPAC. And so when you look at AIPAC donations, AIPAC and its affiliates spent the same amount of money that Elon Musk did. A Democrat should say, you preferred Donald Trump to win. You prefer fascism. You prefer the exploitation of the American taxpayer for your ethnic cleansing plans in the Middle East. Therefore, your money is toxic, and I'm not going to take it because it does not help my constituents. But they won't do it. The power of this lobby is astonishing. There are people on the right that are very bad actors that do not agree about universal human rights, that bash Israel for the sake of just being anti-Semitic and not for standing up for Jewish people and for justice and for human rights, like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like Nick Fuentes, like Tucker Carlson, and now the Heritage Foundation. And Booker, Jeffries, and Schumer, and not having moral clarity on this issue, and for taking money from an organization that donated the exact same amount as Elon Musk did, is the equivalent of Booker, Schumer, and Jeffries taking money from Elon Musk. It would be toxic. They'd be thrown out of the party. And so we have to keep calling them out, because I believe that's what's at the core of this. And a brave politician would be like Zohran and would say, look, I'm Muslim. I've fallen prey to bigoted attacks, to xenophobic attacks. So because of that, I understand anti-Semitism, and I unite with Jews in eradicating all of these bigotries, because they are all connected. And that is the only acceptable answer. You cannot cherry pick this group's rights are paramount to this group's, and so on, because ultimately the knives get thrown and aimed at the other groups. All right, listener, the air has turned crisp. The holidays are drawing near. Comfort becomes the absolute best gift of all. And that's why I love Quince, because they deliver layers that last. They've got sweaters, outerwear, and everyday essentials that feel luxurious, look timeless, and make holiday dressing and gifting effortless. Quince has it all. I personally love their $50 Mongolian cashmere sweaters made for everyday wear, denim that never goes out of style, and Pumps loves the washable silk tops. They're so great to pair with a blazer. And you guys, it's getting chilly, really chilly. And Quince has these great Italian wool coats. They are at the top of my list. I'm going to order one right after we record this episode. So listener, step into the holiday season with layers made to feel good, look polished, and last from Quince. Perfect for gifting or keeping for yourself. Go to quince.com/IHIPnews for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada too. That's QUINCE.com/IHIPnews to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/IHIPnews. So, Pumps, you're going to have a lot to say about this, and I really want to get your take. So we have Kanks that endorsed Andrew Cuomo, who has, I think, 13 women have accused him of sexual misconduct, correct?
Okay, yeah.
And here we have Kanks on video, and he's pretty upset about what's happened to Prince Andrew. And Pumps, it has been revealed that Prince Andrew, on a trip to Asia, I think it was a 24 or 48 hour period, had a gaggle of 40 prostitutes, 40 in and out of his room. King Charles has found out about this. He's kicking him off the royal tit, so to speak, evicting him from his house. But let's hear what the GOP, the Guardians of Pedophiles leader, has to say about Prince Andrew. And then I've got to get Pump's take on this.
So, Mike, Prince Andrew in the UK has had his royal titles stripped away because of the Epstein scandal. I know you're close to the royal family. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I feel very badly. I mean, it's a terrible thing that's happened to the family. That's been a tragic situation. And it's too bad. I mean, I feel badly for the family.
Because I thought he still waiting to meet with Jensen.
I'm stunned. I mean, not really, because he was on the pussy committee for Prince Andrew, if I'm remembering correctly. But for him to say he feels badly for the family. What about the family of the victims? What about the women that were trafficked? He doesn't give a shit about them because women are disposable. And let me just tell you this right now. For him to sit there and defend Prince Andrew after all that has come out about Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein only further confirms how deep, how cankles deep he is into this shit, and he sees it's coming. And I'll tell you what, the British public has gotten a lot of these emails between Jeffrey Epstein and Prince Andrew. And let me just tell you this, I went down the rabbit hole on a plane this weekend. You know who they're alleging to have leaked all these emails about Prince Andrew to the British press? Ghislaine Maxwell. That sound familiar to you? The one who's sitting over in a country club prison? So that tells me Trump is fucking scared because he knows everything that's going on with Prince Andrew, it's coming for him. It is coming for him.
And, you know, it's interesting because we can do an episode like this and you're talking about the New York mayoral race and we're talking about democracy and we're talking about xenophobia. And the Epstein is linked to all of this because it exposes the moral rot in Republican leadership, just everyday Republicans that look the other way at this. And then how, in my opinion, this is linked to the Democratic establishment is you wouldn't take money from Elon Musk because he would have spent $1 billion if he had to, and it would have affected his life zero.
Right.
But you take money from the same entity that promotes a guy that protects pedophiles. And that's just really, really telling to me. Benjamin Netanyahu specifically wanted Kanks to win because he knew he would be much easier to manipulate. All right. And lastly, I'm going to leave you with the post of the MAGA meltdown over Zohran Mamdani because they are so racist and such billionaire ass kissers. It's pathetic. These are pathetic, pathetic, pathetic people. Put up the headline. House Republicans exploring ways to prevent Mamdani from being sworn in as New York City mayor if he wins on election day. And Max Burns says totally normal in a free society. Of course, he's being deadpan there. But this is why it makes me so fucking mad. At Booker, Schumer, and Hakeem. Hakeem was very late to the party, which tells you everything you need to know. Booker and Chuckles, cricket still on this, and you provide comfort and permission structures for this racism. And if you really give a shit about Jewish people, the most supportive thing you can do is call out the Israeli government and the war crimes that they are committing and the exploitation of American taxpayer dollars through buying off politicians. That is the most supportive thing you could do, because I know this, because the most supportive thing anybody can do for America and Americans is to call out this fascist regime, call it exactly what it is, call out the Nazi tendencies and actions and parallels of this administration and stand up for universal human rights and stand up for democracy. But there are people within the Democratic Party that play patty cake with fucktwats like this. And that's why posts like that, Pumps, exist. All right, listen, a great way to support us is to buy our book, Life is a Lazy Susan of Shit Sandwiches. Subscribe, like this video. If you are in New Jersey, Virginia, California, New York, any of the places having elections today, get out and vote. We have to vote. We have to do everything we can do to preserve our democracy. We'll be back later with more news.